Hot diggity dow, we're doing Bellular a lot today. Solo players deserve more content. I personally don't agree with this statement. I don't mind this statement. Like, I think they could give more content to solo players, but I don't think they deserve more content. Like, fuck them. And I'm mostly a solo player, so... Okay, let's see. Solo raid would also be a great way to show off how strong a lot of the NPCs are. I've been playing since vanilla. I love these comments. And these days I mostly play solo. I wish that Blizzard would share a bit of love with solo players and lower levels for new folks and for veteran players leveling alts. I also wish we could switch off the sliding zone levels at will. Sometimes you want to level a character there longer. Other times you want to be able to go back on a higher character to farm some mats without pulling aggro every 2 seconds. Okay. Honestly, I don't know that I would change too much about the way the story is told. I mean, what story? What story, brother? What story? I'm a primarily solo player. I like the way the story is told. Oh, bro, you must have liked last season of Game of Thrones. I just wish getting into game content to experience the fun chapters of the narrative didn't require that I interact with the elitist and highly gate-capped raid groups. You don't. You do LFR. And that's where the story is told, in LFR. That's why LFR is there, literally. It's not even good gear. It's literally the only reason there's LFR. It's like for you to finish the story. The number of times I've been booted or rejected from a raid because I'm not spec'd out as wild doesn't happen in normal. I can testify. Also, make your own raid. I was like 20 item levels under geared for like a AOTC run. I just brought in everyone who was like, I just made my own raid group and just invited people who were like well over geared. Like, fuck it, I don't care. And makes for a pretty sour experience. I don't know that the game design is really the issue, but rather the community that surrounds endgame content. That's just from my perspective, though. What's this, like a Mythic +4 Andy, like, or something? Like, what's going on here? As having moved away from group content over my years of playing, this would be great. You know why everyone moved away from group content? Because you feel punished playing with other people. It's not that playing with other people is not fun or rewarding, stuff like that, which it isn't. But it's because you really don't feel like punished. It's like you spend 10 minutes finding a group, you spend 40 minutes doing a dungeon, you spend 50 minutes-ish tolerating everyone's stupidity, or lack of communication, and then you get nothing for it. You get no gear, nothing. And if you fuck up, a person leaves, your key is gone, it's just not worth it. Playing with people in WoW has more negatives than positives, so I can see why a lot of people move to solo play. I look at how Star Wars does their dungeons. They have a mode to allow solo with the OP healer, DPS, and tank bot, plus your companion, something WoW should do, but make them tied to factions. You get like one gear item at the end, but sometimes it's just crafting mats or vendor currency. Then look at how Conquest used to be fill the bar up by doing daily objectives, then get a box which sometimes may contain an upgrade to your gear. I mean, this was PvP, this is PvE, I don't know what you're talking about here. Blizzard could do something like this, but better. Yeah, I don't want to be as powerful as Mythic Raiders, but would be fun to just wreck world content as you get more powerful. There's also something to progress towards outside dungeons or raids over the course of the expansion, which would improve upon... See, like... your actual hard content is the world. I don't know what to say to that. How is the world content not something you wreck? What kind of Mythic Plus are you doing? Are you doing Mythic Plus, like just Mythic Zeros and hoping to wreck the world? Not gonna lie, by the way, he can easily wreck the world if he just played the expansion at the end. He can destroy everything he wants with just quest gear, because you just go to like Zerth Mortis, do a few quests, and you're like 250 item level or some shit. And then you can go and destroy whatever you want. Also, something to progress towards outside dungeons or raids over the course of the expansion, which would improve upon with each content update. What is? The world content? The world is dead. I don't know if people notice this. The expansion comes out, you have the 4 new zones, and the next patch, those 4 zones are dead. There's nothing going on in those zones. This has been true since Legion. Legion, you did your questing in the 4 zones. You got to Suramar. You're only in Suramar. You're not going to the other zones outside of like the dungeon, the Mythic Plus. There's absolutely no reason. You're in Suramar doing your Suramar stuff. And once Broken Isle came out, Suramar is useless. And once, what's it called? The planet came out. Fuck, I forgot. On Taurus? Taurus the Burning Throne. Draenor? Fuck, forgot the name. Anyways, where Antorus was. Okay, the ones that came out, the Broken Isles were useless. All of the Isles were useless. All of the previous zones. It's like you're not even playing the expansion. Everything the expansion becomes useless the next patch comes out. 9.0 gave you content. 9.1 threw that content into the shredder, and now you have this content. 9.2 threw 9.1 content into the shredder, and now you have this content. I don't know, like... what do you want? Oh my god, course of the expansion which will improve upon with each content update. I look at ZM, not sure, and think, yes, this was a great progression for solo or casual players. Now do that, but better. What's ZM? Oh, Zereth Mortis? I can't. Alright, we're gonna watch the video now. Jesus Christ.
Is not providing. I've seen a lot of talk about this on Twitter and some other places.
Fuck,
and also Jesse Bear dropped a super about it, saying, what meaningful reward track is available for people who don't do regular organized group content? They ignore a large player base. And man, that is so true. Now, there's one...
I agree. In my opinion, Torghast should have been that solo progression thing. Torghast should have had its own item level. Like the item level in Torghast would not matter. Like you would just kind of like how Palace of the Damned or Palace of the Dead in Final Fantasy works. It doesn't matter what gear you come with. Your damage and your survivability depends on how many upgrades you got from the place. I think Torghast should have done the exact same thing. Have its own progression system. I think it would be so much better. It would be purely, you can do it purely solo. I have nothing more to say. And you wouldn't need like Raid or Mythic Plus gear for it. It would just be a system of its own progression. And you could have thrown, like you could still throw the legendary stuff in it if you want. Make it like an easily achievable thing. But people who want to progress to like floor 500, fuck it. If they want to do it, let them. Who cares?
One side of it here where it's like, it's an MMO. The best stuff should probably come from playing with other people. But...
Best, yeah.
An MMO can also just be having fun in a world where it feels like meaningful shit goes on.
But also, what is best? What does best mean?
What is best, yeah.
What's the point of mythic gear if you don't have a utility for it, if you're not going to do content that's hard? So why is that considered the best?
Well, I think that's why there's an unmet hunger here. So...
Oh, it's hot.
Because, it wasn't a case of solo
how hot is it,
easy content. Because that's what we think of when we think world content. A lot of these players might stop
32
playing
degrees,
and go
bro.
play some DMC.
Christ, 32 degrees.
Or, a Monster Hunter or something. They may actually enjoy hard content, but they just don't have like a static to do it with in an MMO. And I think for them,
that's exactly me. Where I love that experience in single player stuff.
Yes, I love my Elden Ring. I love my Dark Souls. I don't think it's something you should do with latency, but but yeah, I love that solo difficulty. Yes, I don't think it should be. Mage Tower, when it just got released and you were like 890 item level, which was the appropriate item level, like I think 895 is what Mage Tower was actually made for, but you could actually still do it at like 887, 890 item level. I think that was the best. It was great solo content, was actually really challenging. I probably lost a few hairs, or like my hairs turned gray from some of that shit, from anger and anxiety. But lack of sleep, like fucking just going to sleep angry. I lost a few years of my life because of Mage Tower, because of like 1 week of Mage Tower. But at the same time, But at the same time, it's like once you outgeared it, it was over. Like, I mean, once I got to like 920 item level, I literally got Mage Tower achievement on classes I never even played. I have it on my Rogue, on the Outlaw. I have it on my Warrior. That I literally leveled the Warrior that like for like a few days. Got him some gear from Antorus and just went did the Mage Tower. Super easy. I got Fury and I got arms like that. Like it wasn't even a challenge. Demon Hunter. I think I got the Arcane Mage as well. Or the Frost Mage. I don't even remember. I got the Priest one. The Holy Priest, I believe. Or the Disc Priest. One or the other. Maybe even both. I don't even know. Because it was just so easy. Because you just outgear it. And I think, again, if you're doing content like that for solo play, it should not be gear relevant. It really shouldn't.
Stuff, but then when other people get into the mix, because I don't have a solid group of people that share my like very specific tastes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that fence becomes a little bit difficult. Whereas other people have that, and we're like, yeah, I've got 4 people. We do M+ all the time.
So it's almost like you would want. I mean, the Brawlers Guild is an
I never have
example
it.
of that.
Yeah.
The Mage Tower.
Brawl
I think
Guild
that's
also. There we go, Mage Tower, yeah.
a good idea of that.
Torgus could have
So I
been.
think what they need is to take the concept of the Zareth Mortis gear and to go way further with it. I think.
But here's the thing: Miss of Pandaria had it with the Palace Treasure Hunt. That was actually solo content. Again, scale with item level, so like it didn't scale with item level, so you could outgear it. Sure. That was missed. In WoD, I mean, Garrison was technically solo content. It wasn't like hard or anything, but it was solo content. Legion had the Mage Tower. BFA had nothing for solo, as far as I know. Was there anything for solo in BFA? Not really. No, there wasn't. And Torgus could have been the thing for Shadowlands. Missed opportunities, but what to expect from Blizzard other than missed opportunities at this point?
We need areas that feel more like the Timeless Isle, in terms of there being like a ladder to us, like very literally a hill to ascend with more dangerous mobs as you kind of go up that hill, and rewards that make sense. They need to have more challenging solo content for people to do, and I think some sort of gearing reward system for the world content that can really, in the same way that a Mythic Raider just walks around some world quests and feels like an unstoppable god, I think that
It depends on the location. Like the elites in Bastion were a pain in the ass unless you were a tank. If you're a tank, just fucking pull 20 of them. If you're a DPS, pull 2 or 3, and like you might be in for a challenge. Now you wouldn't be with like current gear, but like during Castle Nathria Mythic gear, it was still a pain in the ass to deal with them as DPS.
there should be a way for a world content player to feel like that. Doesn't have to be the
Yeah.
fastest way in the world, but I think that should be there, and I think they should also have some really hard content
Yep.
that they could use that gear in. That is solo really hard content.
Yep.
There's examples of that have existed in the game, and generally when they've been put into the game, they've actually been received quite well.
Yeah, they've received quite well. I'm not sure how well they've been actually done, but they've been received well.
Yeah, so I think that's
I
honestly
agree.
that is one of
I
the
think Mage Tower
major-
was probably the hardest content and the best received content Blizzard has ever done. Second to that would probably be Chromie time, the Chromie time stuff, like the deaths of Chromie. That wasn't really challenging, but that did require a lot of like grinding and upgrades and stuff like that. But it was really fun to do. The worst part about the Chromie deaths is that you still didn't figure out who killed her, and it seems that they have no plans of continuing it. Maybe they will in Dragonflight, I don't know, but honestly, they should have just announced it if they would. That would actually get people hyped. It's like, oh, good, we get to do more Chromie deaths because we want to figure out who the fuck is killing Chromie.
areas of like just a big blind spot that WoW has. Now, when we think about this new expansion, we do know.
Understandable though, she is a gnome, so she has to die. But like, still want to know like who is doing it.
Know that there are various like perks and things that world like gear will have, similar to how the Zareth Mortis gear had a whole bunch of cool effects. But it's like, yeah, sure, you got Zareth Mortis gear with effects. When do you use that?
Never.
I guess like you'll do a world quest a little bit faster, but a rare mob, you're usually doing that with a group of people.
Yeah.
The world boss,
Well, yeah, well, I mean,
that's getting utterly smacked.
yeah, I mean, rares are designed in one of two ways. They have enough health and damage for the solo, or they don't.
Yeah.
That's kind
But they always do if you're a tank.
of interesting, but yeah.
So that's I mean, yeah, what do you do with that, right? So I wonder what kind of things they could have there. I mean, the idea of just having a bunch of rare mobs, but maybe make them solo challenges. Maybe make them solo challenges. Maybe give them a few different levels of difficulty. Right? You could tie this into like maybe a hunting board, or you know, some sort of fantastical thing, and you know, a player could ascend to the very top of that, get a really cool mount, have some badass gear, feel cool.
That's one thing they're very, very, very missing, I think, a lot of the time. And this is where stuff like Tomcats and this is where Warhead Guides and stuff become really, really important for players. And that is, there's nothing tying together world content very much outside of currencies and reps. There's nothing like
currencies,
with the framework there.
Non reps. Yeah.
Like you're kind of flying around waiting for shit to happen on your map, or for rare scanner to pop in Zereth Mortis. There's occasionally like, you know, like call out stuff. But I think the thing they're missing is actually straight up like, hey, here's something happening in the world. Here's like, hey, these dudes keep showing up. We need you to kill them every time they show up or push them back. And that kind of framing to make.
Didn't they kind of do that with the MMO, with the events? That was fun for like half an hour. Like the cart patrol, the bosses that drop the hand mount, which I got by the way. Like all these like mini events, they're like, but the problem is again they're timed. It's not like it was an event. It was just like, here's the respawn timer for it, once every 4 hours, once every 2 hours. And then there were just timers for it. It wasn't like something that's like happens at random because there are players nearby, or like it was not like an event that led to an event, kind of like how Guild Wars does it.
Make it make sense and feel like content as opposed to feel like numbers. Because the minute a lot of that rares is like literally, I'll fly around circles because I need some rep or I need some progress on my bar that's been filled up. That's just generally fight them back. But I think there's more like specific kind of framing for it. Like you said, a hunting board. Hunting board would be so key for making it actually feel like
in some way something. That like, you know, you land where it is, you challenge the enemy in 1v1 combat, and there you go. That's what it is.
Someone has been playing Boja. Yes, a Boja type scenario would be pretty cool. Again, I think Boja did like really good. Like you have bosses you do in a group, and then if you did everything right in the mechanic, you have a chance to go into a 1v1 combat with an actual fucking boss. I think that is actually really, really cool, and everyone can get to see it and watch it. Yeah, if WoW does something like that, that would be cool. I don't even know if they can program it though. This is how much faith I have in the WoW development team. I don't even know if they can program it to do that.
I just think things like that, you know. Rasmus also dropped us a super thank you. Said, since we are getting a new class, do you think? Hello, Siren.
I love living in a city. It's great. Live in cities. They're for humans.
Do you think they'll give us a new Mage Tower challenge to include Evoker, or will we have to wait longer for a new one? Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to have a Mage Tower challenge for Evoker. But they did say to us, and hopefully this will happen, they did say to us that they like the Mage Tower and they do have an intent to do something like that.
But they have been saying it since BFA. And people only got the Mage Tower in Legion, in Shadowlands, when like 50% of the people left.
In the patch content of Dragonflight, and it may be themed around the deaths of Chromie and some plot threads from that. So I think there is the potential to get that. Just
would be nice.
So much, unfortunately.
Would be nice.
Something I think SWTOR does actually. What about solo players wanting the full story? Well, that is something. Is there something to be said like? A lot of people call LFR story mode, right? But
I just did react to the comments. Yeah, I just did it. Now, what I think he's about to say is, if there's LFR and it's for story mode, why not just have LFR with NPCs and call it a day? So it's like, you still have to do mechanics, otherwise the NPCs will die. But if you do all the mechanics, you don't have to be like the best DPS or whatever. The NPCs will kill the boss. So you have to be awake at least for LFR for once.
LFR ends up being a more painful experience than normal quite often.
Yeah, it's just faster still.
The idea that they could use some of their smart NPCs and basically have a solo version of the raid.
Yep.
Some NPCs
I knew he was going to go for that.
That would be a challenge to code up. But other
I knew he was going to go for that.
That's kind of similar. I have to wonder if that would end up being a
Who? Wait, what? Say it again?
MMOs about a raid. some NPCs do it for you. I'm sure that would be a challenge to code up, but other MMOs have actually done something that's kind of similar.
Yeah, Final Fantasy did the trial with Heidelin. Spoiler, sorry. But yeah, of course, is it possible? Yeah, and again, like, NPCs don't necessarily have to take the damage from AoEs and stuff like that. Like, when you do what's called dungeons in FF14 with the NPCs, there's some AoEs that the NPCs just don't get hit by. Like, they're standing in, but it doesn't do damage to them because, like, they're not gonna program the NPC to move out of certain shit all the time. It's gonna get hit. It's stupid, you know? It's like they stack together at range for no reason, even though the boss will target one and do a splash damage. It's like, yeah, whatever.
I have to wonder if that would end
Or
up
they take
being
less
a
damage.
better way to play the game for some people who, you know, the reason why they're doing LFR is because they don't have a raid. Just I don't know, something in my head.
Because
And
they
I
don't
guess
have
maybe
time,
I'm thinking
probably.
about it because you obviously look at Final Fantasy XIV and the duty support system, where, you know, you can do dungeons and stuff like that with NPCs, which you know, is certainly.
I was
interesting.
wondering
There's
what was
definitely
wrong.
stuff to be, you know, to be said in
There
its
it
favor.
is. There it is. I was wondering what's like. I look very red in the thing, as if I'm always angry. Anyways, yeah. Again, they said a lot of good things overall, but again, I don't believe. Like, again, I feel like the deserve more is is like a clickbait. Though I don't think Bellular's doing many clickbaits anymore, but like deserve more does feel clickbaity because I don't think they deserve it, but there definitely should be more solo content. Specifically, oh man, specifically challenging solo content, because challenging solo content is not just for solo players, it's also for people who are doing hardcore raids. Everyone wants to do some hardcore challenges. Everyone. Like, it is what it is. Make it happen, Blizzard. Chop chop. Alright, anyways, let's go to the next one.